I thought it was a very interesting choice for the showrunners to divide the aftermath of King Viserys' death into two distinct episodes, one featuring entirely the response of the Green faction, and the other featuring the response of the Black faction. This week, of course, we got to see the unfoldings of the roughly 48 hours following Viserys' death from the perspective of the Greens, who had the advantageous position of already being in King's Landing when the death occurred. Once Alicent finds out from a servant that Viserys has passed, her and Otto briskly summon the small council. As Jason Lannister points out through his signature terrible humor, no time was wasted in this summoning, as they had convened in the early hours of the morning following the night of Viserys' death. We quickly find out, however, that Alicent had nowhere near as much control over the situation as she thought she did. Although this is based on a false interpretation of Viserys' words, Alicent wholeheartedly believes that he changed his mind about Rhaenyra and wished the heirship be transferred over to Aegon. However, regardless of this incorrect revelation, it is revealed that Otto has secretly been planning with some of the small council all along to install Aegon as king regardless of Viserys' wishes. All of this plotting had been conducted without Alicent's knowledge whatsoever. One of the few small council members left out of this plot was Lord Lyman Beesbury, who firmly objects to this plan and is in turn murdered by Criston Cole. The second to object is Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, Harold Westerling, who gives up his position upon being ordered to travel to Dragonstone and assassinate Rhaenyra and Daemon. Despite just murdering an innocent council member, Criston Cole is immediately named the new Lord Commander of the Kingsguard in Harold's place. Quickly realizing that they cannot let the word of King Viserys' death get out of the castle, especially to Rhaenyra and her allies, the council has the entire Red Keep locked down. Rhaenys, who unfortunately had not yet departed King's Landing, is locked in her room. All of the servants of the castle are locked in the dungeons under supervision of Larys, regardless of committing absolutely no crimes. All of the house lords present in the city are briskly summoned to the throne room, where they are made to either shift their allegiance from Rhaenyra to Aegon or be put to death. While Otto still firmly believes Rhaenyra and Daemon need to be assassinated promptly in order for Aegon to take the throne smoothly, Alicent starkly disagrees. Despite all they've been through, Alicent still cares about Rhaenyra deep down, and knows her late husband Viserys would not have wanted any violence to come to Rhaenyra or Daemon. When both Otto and Alicent realize Aegon is nowhere to be found, the two find themselves in a race to find him first. Whoever gets to him first will, of course, be able to influence the direction of his treatment toward Rhaenyra and the rest of the Black faction. To accomplish this search and retrieval mission, Otto sends twin Kingsguard members Eric and Auric. Alicent, on the other hand, sends Criston Cole and her son Aemond. While on their search through King's Landing, Eric spends the time trying to convince his brother Auric that Aegon is not actually fit to be king. This dynamic is incredibly tragic, as it shows that even brothers within the same organization are being torn to different sides of this political conflict. In a dual attempt to convince Auric of Aegon's unfitness as a ruler, as well as in an attempt to find him, Eric takes Auric to a trial slave fighting ring, one that Aegon is unfortunately said to frequent. While present, they see a blonde child sitting alone, one with a stark resemblance to Aegon. This resemblance isn't left up to interpretation, as Eric clarifies he is one of the many bastards Aegon has fathered around the city. Through an agent of Mysaria, the two brothers quickly find out that she knows the location of Aegon, and that the only way to get him back would be to arrange a meeting between her and Otto directly. Desperately wanting to get to Aegon first, Otto obliges. During this meeting, we find out that Mysaria is using Aegon as a bargaining chip. She promises to reveal his location to Otto in exchange for the government shutting down the child fighting rings in the city. Otto gives a half-assed response, stating he will look into it. This is, however, seemingly enough for Mysaria, and she reveals that Aegon was trapped under the candle table in the Sept. From already knowing that Viserys has died despite the Red Keep being on lockdown, to having captured and hidden Aegon in the first place, it's clear that Mysaria has many spies throughout the city and even within the castle. However, there is a counterforce she seemingly does not yet know about, Larry Strong. In exchange for fetishistic sexual favors, Larry reveals to Alicent that Mysaria has a network of spies within the Red Keep and offers to helm her personal counter-network in a sense. Alicent agrees, and we later see that Larys has one of Mysaria's establishments burned down in a similar fashion to the way he killed his brother and father in episode 6. Later, the two Aegon search parties arrive at the Sept to rescue him. They do so, however, at roughly the same time, and fighting ensues over his custody. All the while, Aegon is attempting to flee himself. He clearly does not want the responsibility of being king, and would much rather escape on a ship to the eastern continent of Essos, where he can drink and fuck his days away without being recognized. Eric, having been unsuccessful at convincing his brother to abandon the Greens and go to the black side, sees the chaos of this fight as his opportunity to flee. Aemond and Criston win their duel against Auric and successfully take Aegon back to Alicent. Because Alicent got to Aegon before Otto, we can infer the assassination of Rhaenyra and Daemon has temporarily been stalled. All the while, before escaping King's Landing, Eric rescues Rhaenys from her chambers and attempts to escort her onto a ship leaving the city. The two, however, are separated by the amassing crowd being violently forced over to the dragon pit. Rhaenys, however, sees this as a golden opportunity, as below said pit is where a dragon is currently being stored. We soon learn that the reason for the massive crowd of people being herded into the dragon pit is because all citizens of the city are being forced to witness Aegon's coronation within the pit. From his capture, to the ride to the dragon pit, to his actual coronation, we see Aegon transform from a man who would rather do anything than rule, to one that absolutely loves the power of being king. We see him relish in the cheers of the crowd as he is crowned and raises his sword into the air triumphantly. His enjoyment, however, is quickly interrupted by Rhaenys, who bursts forth from below the building on the back of her dragon, without any regard to the hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent people she must have killed in the process. Rather than use her dragon to burn down the majority of the Green faction conveniently positioned on the coronation stage, she flies away, likely to Dragonstone, to inform Rhaenyra and Daemon of what has taken place. Helena's prophetic abilities as a dragon dreamer are proving to be eerily true yet again. It's clear that the beast beneath the boards she has been muttering about in this episode and the last was Rhaenys and her dragon, who broke through the boards of the dragon pit floor to flee. In the 24 hours since the episode aired, I have already seen quite a bit of discourse emerging regarding why Rhaenys didn't just burn Aegon and the rest of the Green faction on sight. In the continuity of the show, this is likely because she still harbors sympathy for Alicent and others on stage, and doesn't wish to see them die or lose family members like she has. However, in the book, Rhaenys wasn't at the coronation to conduct said burning in the first place. In fact, she wasn't in King's Landing at all at the time. I completely get the showrunners' desire to have Rhaenys in the city to create such a memorable penultimate episode moment, as, since the Red Wedding, this trend has become a staple of 10-episode long Game of Thrones seasons. However, I just don't think they realized the plot hole they opened up by doing so. I personally think the justifications it listed prior are more than enough to cover most of said plot hole. However, it fails to justify Rhaenys' reason for killing so many innocent people in the process of her escape. She could have easily waited below the dragon pit until the ceremony concluded and the crowd was filtered out. However, I feel like I'm nitpicking at this point. This was still another absolutely fantastic episode, and I'm so sad it's our second to last of the season. I feel like this season has flown by and has far surpassed my expectations in the process. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Black faction's reactions to the news of Viserys' death and Aegon's coronation, and their inevitable response to this coup in next week's finale. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content of this nature, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You can also ring the notification bell to be updated whenever I upload a new video. If you'd like to check out my fiction writing as well as my vlog channel and social media profiles, visit my website withkoji.com/AckerandHime. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next week for the season finale, episode 10.